Do you think Meghan is playing the race card?
In my opinion, I believe she's most definitely playing the race card. Big up yourself, kid. The argument is the royal family is white supremacists and colonialists. Dr. Shola, you called out racism. Called out racism where?
All my brothers hear me. Head of BMSG, yeah. If you're feeling like you lost sight, if you're feeling life just ain't right, when you need a little light, it's your survival guide.
Every now and again, we should all sit down and ask ourselves one question. What's really going on? There's no harm in questioning the narrative. An interesting narrative emerged about a month ago when Oprah interviewed Meghan and Harry. Black people had something to say, but was it all necessary? Black sage, creator, and I, explorer, got to talking about the talking. Listen well.
So let's jump straight in. That was the racism of the day. Not the policeman who was being charged with killing a black man that sparked riots all over the world. This took place on the same day as the trial for George Floyd was supposed to start. Now we're talking about the death of George Floyd, which sparked protests, riots around the world.
Yeah.
Major news, right? Major news. We're talking about Meghan, the princess. Mm-hmm. It was as if liberal mainstream media was dictating to the black community, especially black men, that this is what racism is. So we have a situation with Meghan and Harry, and Piers at the moment. Like Alex Beresford, it was as if we were supposed to stand to defend what was the black woman. But I don't recall Meghan ever identifying herself as black. So I'll put that into context. Alicia Keys is African American. We love Alicia Keys. The song she makes is she celebrates the black man. She's married to a man who's from the culture. Swiss is from the culture. I don't recall Meghan having that history. I'm not aware of Meghan having that history. To my knowledge, the men I'm aware is that she's been around with is 4 white men. Right? 4.5 if we count Piers Morgan. Big up yourself, kid.
For a second, it made me think, wait, hold on. Piers is mixed race.
It's a good one. It's as if liberal media is selling us a story that we should be horrified that a black woman is being targeted by racists, especially if she doesn't identify as black, which throws up a whole load of issues.
Your take on it is, why are we outraged?
Yes, it doesn't take much for black people to get out. It's as if the word racism is a trigger word for black people. I think when the word racism is said in the media, black people should go to a safe space. There's this cacophony of irrational responses as soon as someone says this is racism. Black people jump up and assume that they have the patent, the copyright on racism, and therefore their role when the word is mentioned is that they must jump in to defend whoever's suffering from racism. The argument is the royal family is white supremacists and colonialists.
Right.
If racism is white supremacy, then white supremacy can be enacted upon Asians, black people, Far East Asians as well. If Far East Asians are experiencing racism, should black people jump in to defend them because they're suffering from racism?
From a moral point of view, I guess jumping in to help someone else is the right thing to do. But if it's our duty, it's not our duty to, no.
No, we shouldn't. Tell me some of these Asian countries that had protests in solidarity with the black people, because I don't know of any. I don't know of Saudi Arabia having a march outside the American embassy to protest the death of George Floyd. We have a finite amount of energy and resources, and we have our own problems. So someone might say, well, Meghan is our problem. She's our problem if she identifies as black. She's our problem if she doesn't reinforce white supremacy. So it's as if we're getting played while they're getting paid. We're the foot soldiers, the cannon fodder, who through our outrage, bring publicity to their personal issues, and then they hide their personal issues behind us. So it's cloaked in racism, it's cloaked in patriarchy. But really, it's just dysfunctional family.
It highlights a much bigger problem that black people need to kind of deal with. Outrage marketing.
Outrage marketing, yeah.
We're quite
Reactive. We need to process what's happening and what is wanted, and then see if it's any of our business. Who benefits from our outrage? I feel for the community I belong to. I feel used. The outrage marketing.
Yeah.
They generate outrage in us to push their agenda, and then we end up with nothing.
Do you think Meghan is playing the race card?
In my opinion, I believe she's most definitely playing the race card. I'm not trying to empower the Piers Corbyn types. I don't want what I would see privileged white people thinking I'm trying to support them. They're racist too. So let's get that straight. How is she playing the race card? Well, again, I don't put Meghan in the same bracket as Alicia Keys. Alicia Keys to me is firmly in the culture. So black is not just a colour.
Yeah.
Black is a colour and a culture.
Yeah.
So Meghan, does she have the culture? I don't think so.
It really did feel like she was talking up the fact that she's a person of colour. She never really said, I don't think she said black, but she said person of colour. And I've got nothing against someone who is black and white origin, or just any mix of different races. But
they make it clear what they stand for.
yeah, they know what they stand for. And you know, I used to watch Suits. Suits is the big TV show. She used to be in it, you know, and so yeah, even back then when I was watching Suits, I found out that she didn't really chat to black men. There's nothing against it. There's absolutely nothing wrong with her not chatting to black men. But then when it comes to things like Oprah and what she's now talking about, she's got to be a little bit careful about how she's starting to sound.
I mean, you're not going to say it, but I can say it. She, in my opinion, played the race card in order to attract the support from the black community, because she knows she could pass as black when she chooses to. But when we look at her actions in the past, I don't really see her identifying with the black culture. If I was in marketing or PR, that's a strategy I would have set up to get black support, because the blacks shout the loudest and they bring attention to things that maybe it might cost a lot more money to get that attention. The coverage Meghan received from this interview, if she had to pay for that, imagine how much it would cost her. But we gave it to her for free. Because we were, what, racism, where, who, when, let's go. Outraged.
I think Oprah caught out Harry at one point.
Ouch.
He was labouring on the point that he felt trapped and that his whole family was trapped in this system. She then went round, turned the question on me. She went, so you said you were feeling trapped for this, this whole time, but tell me something. If this situation didn't arise, would you have left the institution? Would you have left the system?
Yeah.
And he said no. But right. But then it was how he started to kind of backtrack. He realised that he just dug himself a small hole and he was trying to get out the hole. And when I heard that, I said it out loud. I said, she got you. So I get his position. I understand it. Like, he's now got a family. He's got a wife, he's got a child and everything. But if he knew that the situation he was in beforehand was a trapped one, if he knew that was a thing, then why wouldn't he sort it before getting with a biracial lady?
I don't think he ever thought like that until he met someone like Meghan and felt the hostility of the family and how the press treated her.
We're told the royal family is racist, which I don't argue with. It's not really my business. Does that mean that Harry's racist? There's a great book called The Games People Play by Eric Byrne, and it speaks about people's pathology, how they create situations which play into their hidden desires. So they're completely unconscious that they're creating the situations. Whitney Houston and her daughter, both of them rest in power. But Whitney Houston died from a drug overdose, and then her daughter died from a drug overdose several years later. Bob Geldof's ex, Paula Yates. Paula Yates again was an overdose. She was suffering with depression, I think. And then her daughter also, several years later, died the same way. It was a drug overdose. Diana split with Prince Charles and got into a relationship with Dodie. And then she died, tragically, when Harry was young. Now in the same situation, pretty much, as his mother. And that trauma would have been an imprint on him. So there's a psychological element to this, an unconscious element where we recreate the trauma. Did he know what he was getting into? Yeah.
Must have done.
But there could be an unconscious part of him that he really wanted to expose that, because that's what would have impacted his mother, or that's what he believes would have impacted his mother on an unconscious level. Yeah? I'm just trying to make some sense of it. Now, I'm not saying he doesn't love the woman, right? Because the same thing you're looking for to destroy you is the same thing that can cure you. I think there's an element of Harry going down that road, and is a lesson for all of us that we should really become aware of what's motivating us to be in the relationships we're in, and make sure that it's working for us in a positive way. We've got people like Dr. Shola who are race hustlers. These are the individuals that use racism, in my opinion, to push their agenda, to push their business, to push their profile, to make money, to sell their books. They call things racism when it's not even racism, because they know there'll be an irrational response from black people, and there'll be a fear-based response from white people and Asian people. And in that kind of murky ground, they can maneuver. You can attack people, so if you attack me, you'll be seen as a racist. Race hustlers, and then they drag people like us into the battle with them. You're a champion, Dr. Shola, you call that racism. Call that racism where? She's a race hustler, she knows what she's doing. She didn't get her PhD by being stupid. She's a very intelligent woman. Beware Dr. Shola. Beware the race hustlers. At most, what we've got is a man who's butthurt, right? He was promised some puntan. Probably even got a bit taste of the puntan. Put it this way, if I was a king, even if they're doing it for the wrong reasons, I would want my knights to be as passionate as Piers. That's who you want to be defending you. Someone who's going to rationalise any way, shape or form a way to protect his queen. Piers will be respected for what he does in the circles of those people who promote, protect and preserve the interests of this country. Because that's what he was doing. As racist as he is. At times.
Piers is also, he's a guy that goes for everyone.
That too. That's the other thing. It's a bit unfair on him, because he does just go after everyone who comes on that show.
He very much added to that outrage market.
Of course he did.
It was almost like he, like you said, it was premeditated.
Well, that brings us on to Alex. Toussaint Louverture. From the ancestors to me to you. Toussaint was said to be a biracial. Some people say it's black, but some people say it's mixed race. It's freed anyway. Former slave who was living in Haiti. He is accredited with being the leader of the first Caribbean nation to win its independence from a European colonial power, which is incorrect. The Maroons are, who did it 60 years earlier. The non-biracial free slaves, and some of them were free slaves, started a Maroon chapter in Haiti. It was started by a man called Dutty Bootman. So the Maroon chapter in Haiti were planning a revolution. They didn't start a revolution. When this revolution started and they started burning the plantations, Toussaint took the white people to safety. Then went back to the Maroons, and the leaders of the Maroons mysteriously died. And Toussaint became the leader of the Maroons, and then led them into this so-called revolution for independence. Now his motivation was he wanted them, the freedmen, he wanted them to have equal rights with the white people. The black people just want to be free. So here's a biracial man taking over the black struggle for freedom to push his agenda for equality with white people. You see the method in my madness? Alex, Meghan are biracial individuals who appear to be taking the black struggle for freedom from racism and oppression, possibly to manifest their own agenda. Possibly.
And I always say that if you don't know where you've been, then you don't know where you're going to go. We can learn from history, make sure it doesn't happen again. But as you said, this may not be history repeat itself.
I should say, in fairness to Alex, I do like his skullduggery. This ruthless way in which he took out Piers. I rate it. That was dope. That was dope.
Trying to figure out how to round this up.
Mind your business. That's how we round it up. Black men, mind your business. If we're going to be archetypal, traditional black men to protect our women, then protect our women. Protect women who celebrate us. That's our women. And no woman who's got 4 white men, high profile white men. In fact, what she's doing, she's reinforcing white male patriarchy. So that's fine if she wants to do that, but then don't try and sell it as a black thing. It's not a black thing. It's counterproductive to us as black men.